Hello, my El Paso lovers. I post a lot of new construction homes on my channel, so I figured I would bring on a new construction loan specialist onto the channel so we can talk to you guys about how they differ from resale homes. And right here I have Derek Sanchez with Cadence Lending Group. By the way, guys, he can help you with all types of homes, new construction or resale homes. I just brought him on for the new construction aspect because I trust him with this. But let's get right into it. Derek, what would you say are the basics of getting approved for a loan in general?
Whether it's new construction or in a resale home or, just in general in the home buying process, the first thing you got to do is take care of your credit. That's really the most important thing you can do. Your credit really sets a lot of the terms of the loan.
When you mean taking care of your credit, what would you say is a good credit score where it's like, you know what, I can work with you, I can get you a solution? I know you can get solutions with anything.
Yeah, definitely. So, in terms of credit score, there are different loan programs, so there's programs available for all levels of credit. A misconception is that you have to have perfect credit in order to qualify, and that's not really the case. Obviously, the higher the credit, the better your rates are going to be. So, you want to work to get it higher. But typically, for most programs, they start in the 580s to 600s, that's typically the bare minimum.
Yeah.
The higher that we can go, the better. It increases the chances of your approval. Just because you meet a minimum credit score doesn't always necessarily mean that it's guaranteed you're going to be approved. You want to have as much of a cushion as you can from the minimums. So certain programs go down from the 580s and above. They have more options open to you if you're in the 640s, 680s, somewhere around there. But that's not to say that you can't get a loan if you're below the 580s. There are certain private loans are also known as hard money loans, and sometimes those are good alternatives if you have lower credit scores.
Yeah, and a lot of times people actually tell me, they're like, you know what, Isaac, I'm going to go ahead and wait to bring my credit score up. That way I can get better terms and of course, save money in the long run. I always recommend to them, hey, you know what, let's sit down with Derek, let's go over the terms and see what are your prices going to be right now, and then let's compare the pros and cons of waiting and prices increasing down the line opposed to getting a mortgage right now with the current prices. And if we think, yeah, it's best for you to wait, and we'll go ahead and tell you.
And one of the things that you brought up too is saving money, and that's another really important thing too. Because different loan programs require different payment requirements. So there are down payment assistance options. So if you're unable to make your own down payment, then there's different programs that you can get either from the city or from the state that can help you put the down payment if you don't have the means to do it yourself. But either way, if you plan on getting a down payment assistance or if you're going to put your own down payment, during the construction phase, you definitely want to save as much money as possible. And the reason being is just because, construction can take a while. It can take 6 months, it could take a year, I've seen it all. In that time, a lot of things can change. There can be guideline changes for the different loan programs. There could be increase in interest rates too. So all that could play a factor in a person qualifying down the road, especially with increases. So by saving money, then that not only ensures that you'll of course have your down payment, you can get better rates and terms, but if there's maybe a debt that you need to pay off, maybe we need to take care of a couple credit cards, maybe there's a vehicle that's almost paid off, and if you pay it off, you can actually get into a higher price point home. So during the construction, by saving money, that basically gives us a lot of options, closer to closing in case there's any changes, just to make sure that you can still get into the home.
I would say, saving money regardless, even if you have the money already saved up, right? Because you have the down payment saved up perfectly and you don't know what's going to happen. So you might want to just save a little bit extra money. Don't spend more just because you got the home locked in. That way no surprises hit you, and 10 months later you didn't waste your time and you can't get into a home.
Whenever you're buying a new construction, be cautious of your timeline. With new construction, the time frame in which it can be complete, it varies big time. And that could be, the time frame is also impacted by things like in the supply chain, shortages in material or labor. So, a lot of times that kind of pushes back, estimates for the completion, right? So when I say be cautious of your timeline, you want to make sure that you plan ahead. You have a lease agreement that's going to be ending soon. It's kind of hard to gauge, when that lease is going to end and when the house is going to be done. So always obviously keep that in mind. You want to start the construction process as early as possible, so that way you're into your new home before your lease ends. I've had some buyers that try to get it as close as possible from the closing date of the house versus their lease date, but with unforeseen circumstances, sometimes that gets pushed back, and then people are in a tough position where they're out of their current home and then they're not into the new home. So if I can stress anything, is just to make arrangements. Either try to get on a month-to-month basis on your current lease. See if a family member is going to let you stay there. Sometimes you have mom and dad or grandma, grandpa, whoever it is. Just figure it out. Get somewhere to stay just in case. Obviously, us as a lender, we're gonna move everything along to be ready to close as soon as the house is ready. I know our builder partners also do everything they can. They're conscious of that too.
Yeah, exactly. And new construction has a lot of caveats. The sooner you start planning, the more you'll be able to reap all the benefits of new construction, and you're not going to have to settle for less and be like, you know what, I guess I'll go with this home only because of the sole purpose that it's 3 months away from completion. When you're buying a new construction home, you wanna reap all of the benefits from it. So the sooner you start, even if you think, no, I'm starting too soon, more than likely that's the right time to start.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's never too early to start. You want to start budgeting. So like if you know that your payment's going to be a certain amount, like you already want to kind of live your lifestyle as in that you're going to make that payment. Because a lot of times, if you're going from, let's say, an apartment to like a brand new construction home, there might be an increase in your monthly expenses. So, if you budget ahead of time and start kind of paying or living a lifestyle, assuming that you already have that payment, you'll already be in a good position whenever the house is actually done. Which brings me to my next point is during the new construction process, it's important not to max out your budget. So what a lot of people will do, sometimes they'll say, okay, they'll do an application and they'll say, okay, just tell me what the max amount I qualify for is, right? Obviously, we all want to get into our dream home, or we want to get the house with the extra bedroom, or maybe the 3-car garage, or what have you. But what it's important in new construction is that, as I mentioned in the beginning, things are ever changing. During your construction time frame, we can't lock in an interest rate. Okay, your interest rate is basically subject to change throughout the whole process. So we'll usually lock an interest rate whenever we're like about 45 to 60 days of the closing. That's the typical time frame. So we can't lock any earlier than that in most cases. So during your construction time frame, rates could go up. So like if you're maxed out on your budget, then an increase in the rates would mean that you're already surpassing your budget. So if you want to keep your payment at $1,800, but let's say rates go up, what if you're now at $2,000 a month, $1,900? So now you kind of have to make adjustments, maybe tighten your belt a little bit, move things around on your payments just to make sure that that payment's still comfortable.
Yeah, most definitely. And if you do max out your budget, it could put you in the position of having to settle for less later down the line because, if rates go up, something happens unforeseen, and you're not able to qualify for the home anymore, you might be stuck in a position where it's like, well, I spent 7 months and I was ready to move into this home. My lease ends in 3 months, and then you might have to sacrifice. So I always tell my clients, it's better we don't max out your budget. That way we can know this process is going to go smoothly. You're going to qualify, you're going to get into your home, and everything is going to go as planned.
Yeah, and something else that's important too is, like for whenever you're working with your buyers, or like when I'm working with, my borrowers, something that always helps is if they keep us informed, so keep your team informed, Isaac and I are here to help you guys, but you want to let us know when anything changes, like we're going to be your backup for anything that happens, so things to let us know is if there's any changes in your job, if you've had any large expenses that you've had to spend money on, if you've had to take on debt, whether it's your own debt or maybe you had to co-sign for somebody, all of these things can affect your approval. So it's important to let your realtor know. It's important to let your lender know. Any of these things change because we're here to help you. And we're gonna make sure that whatever happens during your loan process, we're gonna try to figure it out. The sooner that we can tackle things, the more time it gives us to figure it out and to make sure that there's not going to be any, issues closer to the closing time frame,
Yeah, most definitely, because whenever things come up where our clients are like, I just lost my job or this and that, we're not automatically thinking, all right, I'm going to move on to the next. No, we're thinking, how am I going to solve their problem? Because our goal is to give you a solution. We're not the IRS. We're not out to, put you in a bad situation. We want to solve your problems and get you into that home. All right, Derek, so we told people the basics of what to keep in mind when getting a new construction loan or just a loan in general. Now let's talk about some of the unique aspects of new construction. In your opinion, why new construction over a resale home?
Well, there's a couple different reasons. Obviously with a resale home, you're getting somebody else's, vision. There may be years and years of, weird paint colors. Maybe there's, a home built in the 1950s that hasn't been updated. So one of the biggest benefits for new construction homes is that, you really get to choose your own. You get to pick your floor plan, you get to pick the colors, your fixtures, and different builders will give you different options as to the customization. I mean, there are fully custom home builders out there where you can literally do the floor plan, so with new construction, you get a lot of options, and you can really kind of customize it and make it so that way it's very unique to you and what you're looking for in your home.
And in the loan aspect of it, what benefits do people have in new construction versus buying a resale home?
So, one of the main things is that construction does take a long time, so it's kind of like counterintuitive to think of, because if you buy a resale home, obviously you're going to get a home, you're going to close within a month or two. With new construction, obviously that's going to take longer. But the way that I think it's a benefit is that it allows people who aren't ready right now to buy a home, they can kind of get into the process already, so that way down the line when they are ready, then they can already get into the home at that point.
Yeah.
So let's say that you do an application, maybe you're short on your credit score, maybe you need to work on your score a little bit, maybe we need to pay down debt to get you approved for a certain price.
Yeah.
The good thing about new construction is, a lot of times we can do kind of like a conditional approval, like we'll just, as me as a loan officer, what I'll do is like I'll set a game plan for us, so that way we know exactly what you need to do in order to qualify. So if you're close enough that I think during the construction time frame you can fix whatever issue there is, like we'll just do that conditional approval, so that way you can get started on the whole process. So with the conditional approval, the builder can get you on contract, you can reserve your lot, you can start the process and do everything. That way in 3 or 4 months, whenever the changes that we've set up in your game plan happen, then you're already that much closer to being ready on the home. Like for the people who are looking at resale homes, like if they try to, if they're looking to buy like right now in the next month, but they need a couple months of work to pay down debt or get their credit scores up, then obviously that kind of pushes out their timeline. So, like I would say that's a pretty big advantage of going new construction.
Most definitely, most definitely. And you know what? In my experience, people that go with a new construction home, they're able to save a little bit of money on closing costs. Cadence Lending Group, how do they help people with closing costs, or do they at all?
Yeah, so with new construction, that's one of the biggest advantages is the savings and closing costs. So most builders will have a preferred lender or a couple of preferred lenders that if you go finance through them, then all your closing costs would be covered. Simply just by financing with their preferred lenders.
Yeah.
So at Cadence Lending Group, I mean, we're a preferred lender for a majority of the builders out there. Like we've developed partnerships over the years with many builders. So chances are if you're looking for new construction in El Paso, we'll be a preferred lender and you'll save on your closing costs. There's always ways to kind of, see what we need to do. If the builder's contribution isn't enough to cover all of your closing costs, we can do some things on our lender side in the form of lender credits to help you if you don't have enough cash to close. We get into, once we lock a rate, we can give you some options as to where your rate is based on your credit score. We can maybe go lower if you want to pay extra closing costs in the form of discount points, which is basically like extra closing costs to buy down your interest rate. We can go the opposite end too. You can choose a higher rate if you need closing cost assistance, and us as a lender, we can give you a credit. So those are all the tools that we can use to help you save money. But definitely, as being preferred lender for a lot of builders, I mean that'll put a lot of money in your pocket just to make sure that it's just a down payment that you got to worry about.
Yeah, most definitely. And with prices going up, and especially in this market, a lot of people are paying money out of pocket. So 3% of the sales price of a home, let's say you're purchasing the average sales price in El Paso at about $230,000, do 3% of that, and that's what you'll be saving going with a new construction home. And that's not to say I completely prefer new construction over resale. We're open to both. They both have their benefits. In this video, we're just highlighting some benefits of new construction. And one of the benefits I actually would like to talk about is warranties. So whenever you purchase a new construction home, that's a big reason why a lot of people like to, is the majority of builders in El Paso, they're going to give you a warranty called the 210 warranty. And you're going to get 1 year on workmanship. So let's say, you move into the home and the builder did a bad job. The molding's peeling off, the countertops are cracking, this and that. For 1 year, the builder's going to cover that. That 1 year is going to be good. That way you can make sure, did they do a good job? Did I buy a good build? And of course, we'll direct you to a good builder. That way you don't run into those problems. But if it does happen. And then for the 2 years, the majority of builders here in El Paso are going to cover a lot of things behind your walls, the electrical, some water, some components of the AC. And then for 10 years, your foundation is going to be covered. So that's just a benefit of new construction. You're able to move in and have that peace of mind and reassurance knowing, nothing's going to go wrong. If something goes wrong, I got this warranty to back me up.
And so kind of like on that note, like in your experience, have you seen that, buyers have to pay their own warranties on resales, or, how does it work when it comes to the new construction side?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it depends on the market we're in. If we're in a buyer's market where the buyer has the advantage, they can ask the seller, hey, you know what, I would like you to purchase me this warranty. Right now, in the seller's market that we're in, if you want a warranty on a home, more than likely as the buyer, you're going to have to pay it 9.99 times out of 10. In new construction, the builder is going to be giving you that warranty. They're going to be paying for it for you, and it's a much more extensive warranty than what you're going to be getting on a resale. All right, now I don't want to just completely glorify new construction because we're not biased. We don't want you, only purchase new construction. Derek, tell the people, what are the most common problems you see when people are purchasing a new construction home?
So, just kind of tying back to some of the advice that we gave you in the beginning of the video, being cautious of your timeline and also maxing out your budget,
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, a lot of things can change during the construction time frame. So, it could be the point where, like as a buyer, you're priced out of your own home that you're on contract for, or maybe you've surpassed that budget in the monthly payment like we've talked about. So something that, like Isaac and I will do is, we'll kind of guide you through the process and we'll set up contingencies so that way you are in a position of success during the phase, So, what I do as a loan officer, like when I'm pre-qualifying you as a buyer, I'm not qualifying you on today's rates. I always prefer to be conservative with my estimates. It's best to be prepared for worst case scenario. So what I do, I'll assume that rates are going to go up, or I'll assume that things are going to change, just to make sure that you have enough of a cushion that if things do, then we're good to go. That's not saying it's foolproof. I mean, obviously, who's to say what's going to happen with the market? I mean, I might be sitting on a yacht, in the Mediterranean if I could predict, what's going on with the market. I mean, who knows? But, I've been in the mortgage industry. This is my 10th year now. So, I have a lot of experience with new construction, especially too. So that's something that that I felt has, given success for me as myself, or, for my buyers too, is that we always prepare for the worst case scenario, just so that way we can be sure that you are still qualified for your home at the very end.
Derek, I'm glad you mentioned that you plan for the future with interest rates and the budget of the home that it might be at, because a lot of times what lenders will do is they'll go and qualify the buyer, for the full amount, and they'll give them best case scenario, and that buyer is going to be extremely ecstatic, and they're going to be happy, and they're going to go purchase their dream home and possibly get those dreams crushed down the line at 9 months. So I'm really glad that you plan that way into the future to take care of the client's interest.
And then, as a loan officer, my main job is to be a fiduciary, so it's to guide you financially for your best interest, not mine. So, like by doing it that way, that just ensures that we're setting you up for success as a buyer. Like I'll whenever I do a pre-qualification, like I'll give you a range of payments, so I'm not going to just give you, like you said, the best case scenario at the lowest rate. I'm going to give you a range, and I'll tell you your payment's going to land somewhere within these figures. That way you have an idea of what the best case will be, just in case, but obviously the worst case too, just to prepare.
And myself, I'll also give you best case scenario and worst case scenario, because with everything that's happening in the world, just based off of my head, I'm thinking prices might be increasing 6-10 months down the line. So I'm going to tell you, this person is a good builder. They do have, a reputation of increasing prices here and there. Maybe you might want to be cautious going on this price range with this builder, and we'll work with that, because a lot of times I find that people, they find the perfect home with their realtor, and the realtor's like, yeah, most definitely, let's get the home, because they want to write it up, but they're not taking into consideration, what price is this at? Does this builder have a tendency of raising prices frequently when they have the ability to? So, of course, I'll steer you into the direction of the builder that I know is going to be in your best interest, based on your goals, of course.
So with all that being said, for new construction, don't forget, you want to remember your top 5 things to consider. You want to take care of your credit, you want to save money, you want to be cautious of your timeline, you want to keep your team members informed, and you don't want to max out your budget. Okay, so you want to remember those 5 things. Isaac, if anybody's looking to buy a house, like where do they start?
Well, they would start with either myself or you. So if you're looking to start buying a house, you can contact myself right here.
And my number's right here.
And thank you guys for watching this video. Subscribe, turn on the bell, that way you can stay informed on the beautiful homes in El Paso and this information that we're giving you on the El Paso market. Let us know if you want us to make another video.